First of all, it's really my pleasure to be here, and I would like to thank the organizers for having me here, and thanks to all of you for being here. I would like to discuss this afternoon with you another aspect of information, capacity building and training on cleaner production, basically on establishing a center for cleaner production at the University of Cienfuegos, which is one of the co-organizing organizations of this conference. I have to tell this story about not only on my behalf, but also on behalf of Pedro Ochoa, who is the colleague in charge in Cienfuegos of the center, and also on behalf of Carlo van de Castelo, who is a colleague of mine of the University of Leuven in Belgium. Basically, what I have to tell this afternoon is a kind of a descriptive analytical story on a project we try to implement together, or we are implementing together on a center for cleaner production in the city of Cienfuegos. What is the background? What is the problem these days in Cuba? First of all, we are working there and we are facing a completely outdated industrial patrimony. One of the plants we are working with is a coffee burning plant, and which is localized downtown the city of Cienfuegos. Just to tell you where the technology basically stems from the 1920s of last century. The production system is like this, that 12 to 15% of the raw material of the green coffee they burn is actually lost through the stalk during the burning process. Moreover, from an environmental point of view, the area is very interesting. For instance, for a number of reasons, but for instance, because they have a beautiful bay that is not only of historical value, but also of environmental value. And these days, industry around the bay is developing very fast. So there is an important issue of making sure that the bay remains an asset also for the generations to come. The third point that is important is that Cuba, as you all know these days, is in a transitional period. They first of all suffer since a number of decades, since almost 50 years, from the so-called American blockade that tries to cut them off and cuts them off from a lot of developments in the area. They turned then towards the Soviet Union. That lasted till the early 1990s, when the Berlin Wall fell down, and now they direct themselves much more to other Latin American countries, and us, for instance, Venezuela. All that brings an important societal transition in which environment, in which consciousness for next generations, in which long-term thinking becomes more important than it was in the past. And the last point is related to the previous one, and there is an increasing awareness on environmental quality all over the country. A few reasons why actually cleaner production is appealing to them is because they have a culture of waste of fuel. Fuel in Cuba is only half the price of what it is over here these days, and actually more efficiency in terms of fuel use, in terms of caloric use, is rather distant in most situations. There are also high material consumption rates. I refer to the example of the coffee I provided you with, but also production of sugar cane, and that is very widespread in Cuba, uses a lot of materials and actually a lot of efficiency, improving opportunities are available. There are very important waste streams, and that is linked to the previous points, waste streams that are hardly used and definitely not prevented. And there is an increasing problem of wastewater, both in terms of quantity and quality. This is the banana that Cuba is. You see Havana there in the northwest of the map, Guantanamo in the upper, in the lower southern part, and Cienfuegos is more or less in the middle of the country, and the southern part bordering the Caribbean Sea. And characterized, it was actually a city that was founded by the French in the 1800s, and yeah, very much characterized by its bay. The bay is a very central point of the organization, social, cultural, in environmental organization of the area. Next slide, please. What is the aim of the project? The aim of the project basically is targeted towards inter-university cooperation, and the idea is in terms of inter-university cooperation to establish a center of cleaner production at the University of Cienfuegos that basically has three functions. One function is to organize a master's degree on cleaner production. The second is promoting research on the issue. And the third one is actually a more societal and visibility type of thing, making the center an area of information on cleaner production, targeted specifically towards the province of Cienfuegos. And so, in general, you can say that the project aims at contributing to the long-term economic and environmental sustainability of the province. A few characteristics. The area where we speak about is about 4,000 square kilometers, of which 100 square kilometers is covered by water. There are living 400,000 people over there with an income of 388 pesos a year. Imagine that a peso these days is more or less $1, and you see that there is an important issue of poverty lines and living on less than $1 a year. The unemployment rate is low, and human development index is rather high, as you can see. The main industry in the area are sugarcane factories, cement factories, paper, mechanics, starch, not lime, but lime, for the cement, and a very important one that is a story on cleaner production by itself is the development of the oil refinery and the associated plans to the oil refinery activities. There are quite an important service sector. Hospitals, there are 3 hospitals in Cienfuegos, of which one university hospital of over 600 beds. And moreover, the area maybe is not very known in international tourism, but that might change. Cienfuegos is actually a world cultural heritage site, as such recognized by UNESCO, and really aims at developing its tourism industry. What do we try to do in the framework of the cooperation I already mentioned? The three main points. First of all, establishing a master's degree, which in Cuba also, like in other places, involves a long administrative process. There is research on a number of aspects in the area that clearly are in need of a clean production approach. And in that research, we actually try to focus on two main aspects. One is technical improvements, and the other aspect is the managerial improvements, and of course the links between both. And then the third general aim is to establish an information center that should support the questions of the industries in the province. Let's look at these three main aims a little bit more in detail. As far as the master degree is concerned, there is what has been accepted since 2 months now by the Cuban Ministry for Education is 1 year master degree that will start from next academic year, so this October on. Where we supported the establishment of a program where we organized a number of lectures in order to train the local trainers and where we provided part of the logistics. We went successfully through the Cuban accreditation procedure of the program, and we will run the program during year 3 of the project. And moreover, there is an aspect of student exchange with me, which means that we will be able to send a number of students from our masters in human ecology to Cienfuegos, and they are sending over a number of their students to prepare their thesis works in Belgium. As far as the program is concerned, the program exists both of compulsory courses and on courses that that are more elective and that can be chosen according to the interest of the student. You see here the list of the compulsory courses, which is not very different when you compare this list with the one the previous speaker showed. They are always the same themes that are revisited. Next slide. So this is the list of the optional courses. There again, there is not a lot of new or not a lot of novelties under the Cuban sun. They are the very traditional courses and subjects that make part of the clean production discussion. There is in this setup of this master degree course, like it is the case for most masters in the world, a clear focus on methodological approaches and on research approaches to the issue. As far as the research is concerned, there are actually 4 research lines that are under development. The first one deals with cement factories and with particulate pollution, for instance. The second one with sugar refinery and with energy efficiency in sugar refinery plants. The third one on coffee production, and the last one basically deals with instruments for environmental management, such as environmental impact assessment and environmental management systems. And these latter ones, so these instruments, they're not only targeted towards the industry and they use for industrial development and new plants, but they also explicitly targeted towards this service sector I just mentioned, towards the hospitals, towards the hotels and the restaurants in the area. And then finally, there is the information center, in which has, apart from the traditional contents, and you have seen a number of examples just 20 minutes ago, but they is supported by brochures, by a newsletter, by a website, and by a stakeholders forum, so a regular meeting of the stakeholders of the cleaner production discussion in and around Cienfuegos. What are the assumptions? What are the limitations and weaknesses? Well, first of all, Cuba, when it comes to cleaner production, has to come from far. There is quite a long cultural and mental distance to be gone, and it is, I think, an interesting experiment in order to see how fast this can be. This is definitely not a problem at the university. This is also less a problem with respect to the policymakers, but this is much more a problem in the industry, where the general feeling is that everything is under control, even if, as I mentioned before, efficiency opportunities are ample. This is the motivation of the University of Cienfuegos that looks very much all right, definitely for installing the master program, which will be unique. This is the only master on cleaner production in Cuba. And then there's the issue of the practical and organizational support. Working in Cuba is not the same as working in Brazil. So I think in general you can say that this project is feasible. The aims are not very high. They are targeted towards feasibility. It's also timely. It's probably like that Cuba, there is a need and a demand for this type of approaches, and we hope that it will have impact. And just as the first speaker, I would like to conclude by calling all of you who might be interested in this type of projects to raise their arms and to collaborate with us in order to realize the results and the aims of this project. Thank you very much, Chair.